What a fight. Eubank obviously wins unanimous decision, 116, 112 on all cards. I haven't seen anyone disagree with it. What do you take on the scorecards and the result?
Mate, what a fight. Brilliant fight. Interesting. Eubank, he looked a bit sluggish early on, had a good first round, then he looked a bit sluggish, looked like the legs weren't working the way he'd hoped. He got cracked there in the second round, whether that had an impact or maybe it was the weight rehydration clause as well, that he was feeling a bit fatigued. But one thing I thought he did well was once he realised he couldn't fight the fight he wanted to fight, which probably would have been at a bit of distance, he then just fought in the pocket on Connor's shoulder and fought Connor's fight and beat Connor at his own fight. So
he got clipped early, and I thought it was the second round. I think Ben got him pretty well. Third round, Connor did pretty well as well. But in those middle rounds, it felt like Eubank realised he could take the power, could take the speed, could take everything. He started wearing the shots a little bit. I still thought he looked very, very drained. He didn't. I said afterwards, he's aging, and I think that showed. And he was very weight drained. And Connor Benn, although he's super tough, quite limited. Like any other elite welterweight would have beaten that version of Chris Eubank today.
Yeah, I think he didn't look anywhere near as good as he did against Liam Smith in the second fight. First fight obviously didn't go to plan, but second fight's probably the best I've seen Chris look. But having said that, if the fighter can find a way to win, and it was Chris found a way to win, it was to sit on Connor and push him back against the ropes and just start wailing off. And Connor Benn, I'm not sold on Connor Benn. Very limited fighter. Chris Eubanks, whether he can win a world title is yet to be seen as well. But he's got defensive flaws, especially. But Connor Benn, I'm not sold yet.
I don't think either of them can win world titles in the future. I think Eubank's best days are behind him. Mate, I don't, just purely because super middle, which is where he should be, is quite stacked. He's not. I don't think he can win a belt there. Obviously, can't make middleweight anymore. He looked terrible. But promotionally, in the lead up, he was so good. He owned this. Like he absolutely owned the fight week. Build up the little monologue he did at the presser about what is pain. Talking about his younger brother who passed away in Dubai, talking about his old man, and then Chris Eubank Sr. showing up, the door of the car opening. It was theatre. I really enjoyed that. There was a lot of criticism around it. It's not a world title fight. What are we doing? Why is this happening? One guy's a welterweight, one's a super middle. But genuine hatred, and when there's beef like that, you get them in the ring, sort it out. For all the criticisms, and I hear them and understand them, the build-up was great, and the fight was even better.
Yeah, and I'm seeing, I've seen Eddie online saying the scores were atrocious, this sort of thing. But 8-4-7-5 is totally reasonable. Eubank, I don't think Connor Benn had a jab the whole night. I mean, Eubank was working the jab, scoring points. Connor Benn had his moments and probably hurt Eubank a couple of times. But, all in all, I don't think anyone can argue with Eubank winning the fight.
You want to watch it again? There's a rematch clause no matter which way it went. Are we running it back?
Yeah, I don't want to watch it again. I think Connor Benn only chance is down at welterweight. If he has got a chance, but I just don't see it. And Chris Eubank, I think he's 36 this year. He should go for a title. Just go for a title. If you can win, it's a different story. I don't think maybe he can't, but he should just do it because you hang up your gloves and you'll regret not doing it, So maybe you can get a fight against a Dames or one of those, guys like that at 160 for a belt and then hang it up, I think.
If they do it again, or if he's going for a belt, definitely no rehydration clauses, no same-day weigh-in. Let's just have the weigh-in, move on. The IBF really need to ditch this. It's dangerous. It takes away from the spectacle. It takes away from the fight. Obviously, that fight was made even because of the weight clause. So if Chris Eubank was able to rehydrate to, I don't know what he would have walked around at, on fight night with a full day to come in, but it would have been a lot bigger. And I think he probably would have stopped Connor Benn if he was able to fight, more naturally.
Yeah. It reminds me of 44-year-old Choc Mundine having a rehydration placed upon him against Jeff Horn for no reason.
That's right. There was a little bit of that. There's weigh-in dramas, scale dramas. There was a glove drama today with Billy Joe not being allowed in Eubank's dressing room to check the gloves. All good fun. The theatre, the build-up was great. Ben's called out. He called out Mario Barrios in the ring after Barrios is linked to a fight with Manny Pacquiao. So we'll see how that goes. But I just don't. Look, I learned a lot about Connor Benn today. Like I didn't know he had that sort of reserve in him. He pushed and he was tough and stuff. But Boots Ennis, Barrios, I think they all sort of handle him pretty comfortably.
Easily. And I think I actually think the opposite. I didn't know Chris had that in him to go into the trenches like that, that toughness to go into the trenches. So that was what surprised me. But anyone at 147 eats Ben for breakfast. But I'd like to see, Nigel Benn lives in Australia. Could we see Connor Benn should come out here and have a couple of fights? Imagine Connor Benn versus Nikita Tszyu.
A lot of welterweight or super welterweight fights from in Australia. You could join that. It was the middleweight tournament that they're talking about, isn't it? But a lot of good fighters, a lot of interesting fights in Australia from around 147, 154.
Yeah, Nikita Tszyu.
Nikita Tszyu, you want Tszyu, Ben Tszyu.
Ben Tszyu would be a beauty.
We'll just keep going with the sons of former world champions.
Yeah.
Each other.
They've Costa and Nigel Benn in the ring. But no, it was just a great fight. Good spectacle. No one does it like the English. But I just think what we got tonight was not the most elite level boxing, No.
It was a great war. It wasn't a good boxing match. Like it wasn't clinical or technical or anything. It was a war, which was great. But
it was great.
Fun fight, but not a good boxing match in terms of like you think of like Bivol Beterbiev, great war, but also a great boxing match. This is just a great war, just two dudes just going at it. And I guess to make it that even, you needed to drain Eubank and you needed Ben coming up 2 weight classes to take the fight.
Where do you see Chris Eubank going from here?
I don't know. I don't know how much he made for this one, but he's made a lot of money. Unless he can match that payday for a rematch. I don't know. I think he's noticeably getting older, slowing down. And again, like I know it was the weight and stuff, but he is 36. He's done a lot. He's fought massive fights, fought some of the best. Unless he can, parlay this into a world title fight, I don't know. I don't know whether he still has it in him, to be honest. And that would have taken a lot out of him too. The damage he took today, with the fact that he wasn't at 100% in terms of replenishing his body and stuff, would have taken a lot out of him. So big paydays or a world title, maybe 1, maybe 2 fights, and hang up the gloves, I reckon.
Yeah, I think go for that WBA belt. He's won an interim WBA before against Korobev. Go down that
middleweight
path again.
160.
Yeah. Go down that path again. Go for a Dames, and then call it a day. People are talking about Chris Eubank fighting Canelo. I was like,
no, it's crazy.
Come on.
Nah, although I think he's better suited at 68 at super middleweight.
But
So you're talking
defensively very
Lara.
good.
You're talking Lara at middleweight.
Lara's got the WBA, doesn't
Lara's WBA.
Sorry.
Adama's WBC.
Yes,
We'll go straight into Janovic.
Oh, jeez. Could you imagine? So that's the thing, Eubank. But I'll say about Eubank, he's very deceptive. Like, he looks like he's gone, and then he's sort of just he's very deceptive. Like, his defense is quite poor. He keeps his hands very low. But you think he's gassed, you think he's gone, and he just finds a way.
Yeah, I do think there's a part of that there where he was taking Connor Benn's best shots and was like, look, he can't really hurt me unless he catches me clean, a shot you don't see kind of thing. I mean, all the stuff he was getting hit with and walking through, I think that was because he was, this guy's a welterweight and he hits like a welterweight. I will say the ref was shocking.
Oh.
The ref was terrible. And I messaged Ben Damon right before the start when he tried to get him to touch gloves, and they were like, "Oh, have you not been watching like the last 3-4 months, to 3 years of build-up? These guys hate each other. Don't make him touch gloves." I messaged Ben. I said, "Oh, this ref's gonna bottle it," and he did. Like he came in so strong with the breaking them up, no punching. He came in so hard so early. It was like he's almost going to back himself into a corner of having to take a point off.
Yeah. You ruined the fight.
And Eubank could have did really good work in close, leaning on Connor Benn. Like later in the fight when he was exhausted and he's trying to wear down Ben, getting in close, leaning on him, putting a forearm on him. That would have worked in his favor, but ref was breaking so quickly, not letting him work inside at all.
What do you made Eddie Hearn's comments coming out, and he's on the front foot already? Connor Benn was, Connor Benn was coming up to weight divisions, all this sort of thing. Scorecards were too wide. I mean, he's got to promote his fighter, but if he's honest with himself, I don't think he could say that Connor Benn at this point is a world elite fight, if he's honest, surely.
No. Scorecards, I thought scorecards were perfect. 116, 112. He started his little post-fight. I'm not going to blow up about this card because scorecards, you always see me blow up. And then 2 minutes later, he's like, no, scorecards are too wide. I don't agree with scorecards. It could have been a draw. But then, I guess, it's like, what are you going to say, really?
It's like 8-4. All right. Well, everyone agrees Eubank won, so what are you going to give it, 7-5? Like, it's a round. It's not like it's 10-2 or 7-5.
Yeah. Ben had a little bit of a resurgence between, I want to say, sort of like rounds 8 to 10, 7 to 10 maybe. He staged a little bit of a comeback, and or maybe I think it was a round in there, maybe round 9 when Eubank did quite well, but. Yeah, he kind of come back, but I struggle. I'll go back and watch it again, but I struggle to see how you could have said that Connor Benn won that fight, or maybe even a draw. Even the Benns didn't complain about the scoring.
Also, one thing I picked up on was how Connor Benn was pacing around the ring. He looked a lot of nervous energy, a lot of tension. Chris Eubank, even when he got clocked there in the second round, he was calm. The experience played a major role in the fight.
I'd love to know. They were trash talking the whole fight. I wish, with all the technology, surely somehow we could get a microphone, maybe on the ref or just above them on a thing, because I'd love to know what they were saying to each other. Mainly it was Eubank talking shit to Connor Benn, but I would have loved to hear it. But I messaged you before the fight because Ben came out and he's pacing across that stage and they had the singers.
Yeah.
And he was in the ring for, it felt like ages, but maybe sort of 5 to 10 minutes before Eubank got there, and he's pacing around and they're doing the intros and he's walking around. Eubank stood on that stage with the orchestra played. He was still for a couple of minutes. He slowly walked to the ring. He just stood still, did some stretches. I was like, man, this guy, it could come into this fight cold, get cocked early.
Yeah. And apart from the first round, it did look like he took a while to find his range, find his rhythm. And then I think the feet were gone, so he just he just found what worked for him and and went for it. But he beat Connor at his own fight, so
yeah,
that was amazing. And the star of the show, as always, was Chris Eubank Senior. What an operator! Procedure was parliamentary.
Parliamentary. And he comes in like
he's a rude boy of the highest order.
Rude boy, Chris. When he came in, Rastafari. I thought he was going to jump in the corner and start getting involved. He came over. I think he said start jabbing or something after midway through the fight, but it looked like he was going to come and jump in the corner. Just the character. I can't help. I know people hate him. I can't help like him. There's a story. So back when he was fighting, towards the end of his career, I think maybe in the last couple of fights of his career in the 90s, he went to the States and he bought a truck, like a one of those long haul rigs. He bought it in America. He paid something like 50,000 pounds to have it shipped back over to England. And he lived in Brighton, and he'd drive it up and down the seaside, down the boardwalk, and do things saying, "Oh, it brings such happiness and cheer to the people of Brighton." But they all hated it because it's this loud truck. It's genuinely like a cab truck. And he used to park it. Apparently, he used to park it like in the middle of the road and stuff. And everyone used to hate him for it. And he's just so oblivious that he thought he was the Ducks nuts. Just a character. I love
him. Before we go, mate, what's on the agenda here in Australia? What gossip has Brendan Bradford got?
We drop a bit of the latest update, and they're all just updates because it swings back and forth with what's next. But the latest I'm hearing from multiple sources is that it was swinging towards Tszyu Fundora. Maybe go straight to a world title rather than the Keith Thurman fight. That's what I'm hearing at the moment. We'll see what happens like that. Boxing changes day to day, but at the moment, it's sort of leaning back that way, and it's gone back and forth a couple of times. But it makes sense. Go straight to the world title fight, a rematch, easily sort of set up. Probably a less tricky opponent than Keith Thurman. I think that's the way to go. What have you got? Any news? Any nuggets to drop?
No, I think that's the way to go. We missed you up on the Gold Coast on Tuesday, by the way.
Mate, I spoke to Jai Opetaia on the phone. You can actually read that in the newspaper today if you like.
I saw it.
Anyone that still buys the newspaper.
He had some comments about Sonny Bill.
He did. I was trying to get I thought maybe because Jai has spoken a lot about the long road he's taken and he's spent a lot of his career not making money, having to pay for opponents, this kind of stuff. It's not until he sort of become world champ that he started making good money, and he went on Mark Morris's podcast and talked about sort of similar things. So I asked him, given your history and your journey, how do you feel about Sonny Bill Williams and Paul Gallen coming in? Neither of them have fought for 3 years. They're both guaranteed $1 million, I think it is, for an 8-round fight over 2-minute rounds. Thinking maybe Jai will take the bite and have a crack at them. But no, he said, look, it's bringing eyes to the sport, which is only good. They're not taking money out of my pocket. But he did say that 2-minute rounds are soft. It's gonna be a pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure you're getting paid that much money. It's only 8 rounds anyway, boys. You got to see 3-minute rounds. It's crazy. That is soft. I agree.
It's all coming around pretty quick too. June 8th, and we've got Goodman, Garside, a couple of weeks. It's all happening.
It's all on. What have we got? Shout out to Mitch Leake, who fights this weekend down in Melbourne as well, fighting for an IBF youth world title, I think it is. Down in Melbourne at the Melbourne Pavilion. That'll be a good one.
You going?
I just thought about it. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know. We've got a yarn coming with this week, so we'll see we'll see. But then the day after, we got Wanderer Promotions, Bella Vista, Ricky Colosimo's show up there. A couple of good rising talents on the card. John Scory, everyone keep an eye on John. I think it's his second or third, maybe third pro fight. And then next weekend, overseas, you got Times Square, Saudi Arabia, and then Vegas in a way, I think. 3 days in a row.
Yes. What about Ruiz won a title last night?
Yeah, Viviana Ruiz up in Brisbane won interim flyweight WBA world title. Incredible backstory. She arrived in Australia about a decade ago, never boxed before, just walked into a boxing gym to, find some community. She, from Colombia, so didn't know anyone in Australia. Met a bloke called Ben Sava, who said, "I'm not going to train you. I don't train women." He changed his mind. They're trainer and fighter, and also partners as well outside the ring. So she's got that title, and from what everyone's been saying, the winner of that bout on Saturday night in Brisbane is mandatory for Gabriela Fundora, who is the undisputed flyweight world champion.
Could be on the
younger sister of Sebastian.
Tszyu Fundora undercard, maybe.
Makes sense, right? If we go Tszyu Fundora 2 at wherever in America, I would say, and get Viviana Ruiz versus Gabriela Fundora on the undercard.
There you go.
For all the belts.
Now, one more before I go. Nikita Tszyu, what is going on?
Delays and delays and delays. They originally wanted him to be on this May card with Sammy Goodman. Instead, that's Harry Garside and Sam. I think there's still hopes, although nothing is actually locked in, I don't think. There's still hopes that he'll fight in Cairns in June. I forget the date, but there's a scheduled June 11. Liam Parrow looks to be headlining that one up in Cairns. So it's a sort of an ace, no limit co-promotion, or whatever they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. But and there is no update other than sort of rumors and we wanted to do this, but we can't do this. So it might even be July. Who knows?
Yes. All right, mate. Well, I'm going to get to the gym because I'm all hyped up now after watching some parliamentary procedure. But
I only have my fourth coffee of the day. What is it? It's like 9 o'clock.
Oh, mate. I just woke up in time this morning too.
Well, that was... I woke up, I was stupidly, I went way too early. I came in for the Chef Clark fight. So I watched a lot of boxing this morning. Aaron McKenna looks a good fighter at middleweight. Beat
what happened to Liam Smith?
Oh,
was it? Really? Okay.
Yeah, I not battered him, but pretty much I think won every round and got a knockdown in the last round. A body shot.
Yeah.
And
that'd be the end for Beefy then, wouldn't it?
Surely. Yeah, surely. And then I'm not going to lie, I drifted off in the co-main. I went and had some toast and had another coffee.
Yeah.
That
wasn't too good.
I tried.
Right, mate. I will catch you on the circuit this week on Wednesday.
This week we're back. Wednesday. Let's do it.
All right, mate.